free to talk, Nathan?
Sure. For now, I'm just sweeping the road for mines, getting a lay of the land, you know. The detector lets us see what we're dealing with here. I can work and chat. Fresh drinking water. The rest were packed with rice or grain. Adam said to inspect each one individually. Later, we'd arrange collection. The medical items, you can imagine how pleased we were to see those arrive.
So they landed safely?
Yeah, they were fine.
Technical, 100 meters, front.
Bandit country.
Contact! Man! Contact. Rifleman. 300 meters, bearing 165. Machine gunner. 75 meters, front. Target the machine gun, south. Area clear. Move back. On the way. Standing by. Get in that vehicle. Copy that. Under fire! Ready! Standing by. Dismount! Copy that! Ready!
The guerrillas attacked.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was pretty intense. I don't have the numbers, but maybe 6 or 7 were killed.
And what happened when the supplies had been secured?
Adams would fire a flare. Back at the camp, of course, we'd heard all the gunfire, but that flare, when we spotted it, I don't know, felt like finding a moment of hope or something.
Sure. I can only imagine. And thanks for sharing. It puts a human perspective on my work. Speaking of which, your friend, do you think he'd be willing to contribute further? Even, off the record. What with the topic of my article, having an expert, an instructor on the laws of war.
Look, I'm sorry. I know he'd help out however he could, but listen, he died on Stratis. Year and a bit later. Landmine.
حرکت میکنیم. درگیری تیرانداز 75 متر جلوتر.
The guerrillas were taken out one by one.
درخواست حمله هوایی به موقعیت فرستاده شد. تمام.
Copy that. Strike aircraft on the way. Out.
Do you know why the government signed off on such a heavy-handed response? A cluster bomb? That's rather indiscriminate. Even if it was laser-guided.
Sure, I mean, with a designator, you just switch it on, aim it at, well, whatever. The idea is that you remain in place, keep the laser on target. But even if it's done perfectly, a lot of uncontrolled variables. By all accounts, the town just seemed to explode. Buildings were burning for days.
And this spotter, he just disappeared?
Yep. Last seen leaving the castle, heading west.
Let's talk about IDAP's doctor. You said he was on his way to the church. Did he make it there?
He did. It's even possible they delayed the airstrike, else it was one amazing coincidence.
Targets down!
The town, it didn't fall to government forces.
Not that day, but it did eventually, when the last of the guerrillas left.
And Marcos? He went with them?
Not a clue. Never got a straight answer from the guy. He did one or two last jobs for IDAP, and then nothing.
Strange. And you heard these events from him firsthand?
Yeah, though sometimes he gave more away by what he didn't say. That makes any sense.
Sure. And I suppose getting through something like that, it must have left an indelible mark.
Right. Yeah. There's the scars we see and those we don't. Point on Stratis, there was chaos. Nobody seemed to know what to do. Finally, NATO got their act together, launched an assault on the Altis mainland.
And CSAT?
Caught off guard by the whole thing. They were there to fight guerrillas, not start World War III. So when CSAT dropped their support, government forces panicked. They were on the back foot. Needed to regroup. Major Gavras was put in charge, but it was a tall order. Gavras tried to fortify their position in the northwest, but it was a risk, and he ended up cut off. The guerrillas, they didn't hesitate, stormed its position, sent the survivors running.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how did you come to hear this?
Costas Dimitri, the lieutenant, and the major's adjutant. Along with Gavras, the two of them were trying to make it to the helipad.
You say they were trying to make it.
Mm-hmm. NATO took it out.
How?
At that point, they had air supremacy. Caught it on the hop.
Did they have another plan?
Not exactly, but they decided to make a stand at the church.
Move 200 meters. Front. Helicopter. 100 meters. Right. Gunship. 100 meters. Right.
The man was he respected?
Yeah, I mean, his reputation wasn't bloodied in the Civil War. Gavras was his own man, knew when to follow orders and when to adapt them.
Not the type to violate Loak, then.
Well, that's a gray area. They scattered the mines and sat tight, waiting for the enemy. Facing those kind of odds, it was the only thing they could do.
Dimitiero! Engage that machine gunner! Left! Contact machine gunner! What? Contact man! Dimitiero! Attack that rifleman! Contact rifleman! Contact man! Contact medic! Dimitiero! Fire at that soldier! Man! Target neutralized!
Man's inhumanity. It's really something.
Contact soldier! Contact machine gunner! Injured! Contact sniper!
Finally, a message came. Second helo was in. It was a risk, sure, but government forces were in free fall and the major was important. They just had to get to a different LZ before reinforcements turned up and cut them off.
Dimitiero, patch yourself up. What's the frag? Grenade! Dimitiero, fire! Contact, medic!
Talk to me about the Major. Haven't you returned? Did he survive?
Yeah, he did. He's pretty much the reason NATO's invasion lasted 3 days instead of 1. You heard about the fierce fighting at Kalikori, right?
Yes, a colleague of mine covered that, actually.
Well, that was Gavris. He held the line till the government capitulated. And now, actually, he's involved in the peace process. Came to IDAP, to our camp. The AAF provided us with information on the mine. The guy was a wreck, but his training kicked in. He documented the minefields. Well, as best he could. But for Marcos, it was already too late. He'd already found one. Poor bastard.
And the wounded? Did Custis have anything to say about them?
Off the record.
Pen's leading paper.
His name's come up in connection to a war crime. There's allegations he carried out a summary execution.
Okay. You've mentioned Alexis was with the guerrillas. Do you know what became of him?
He was killed. Shot, I think. It's sad, honestly. Both their lives, they ended here. Just a few feet apart. Next to the church where they were probably baptized.